Greetings, my good people, and welcome back to 24 Karat Lifestyle. Today I'm showcasing this cathedral style window picture frame along with these topiaries. If you're interested in learning how I made them, just keep watching. So for this project, you will need a piece of foam board. I purchased this one from Dollar Store. A plaque of your choosing. I obtained mine from Hobby Lobby. You'll also need two 4x6 picture frames from Dollar Tree and two 5x7 picture frames also from Dollar Tree. You'll need some type of cathedral style wall decor. I acquired mine from Hobby Lobby and they have decent sales, but this one wasn't on sale, so I used a 40% off coupon to purchase it. I obtained my measuring tape and a pencil, which both of these items did come from my sewing kit. You will need some type of decorative paper. You decide what you want to use. Mine came from Hobby Lobby. I purchased 4 sheets. Other supplies that I utilize that are not listed here at this time, or they're not shown rather, are 4 sets of Tumbling Tower Game blocks, floral tape, clay planter pots, Styrofoam balls, flowers, river rocks, and Reindeer Moss, all from the Dollar Tree. I also used 6 Kaboob Skewers from my kitchen, Topiary Tops, chevron Floral Ribbon, and wood filler from Hobby Lobby. Now, make sure to have on hand your wood glue. I purchased mine from Walmart. You can get that relatively cheaply. Your hot glue gun, glue sticks, some E6000, your staple gun and staples, and an Xacto Knife. Now, I will put all of these supplies in the description box below just in case I forgot something. Great. Now that our housekeeping is out of the way, what you will need to do is take your wall accent and your picture frames and position them on your foam board the way that you want them set up. Now this is important because what you're going to do is you're going to trace your outline onto your board so that you'll have the outline to utilize as a guide for gluing and stapling them into place later on. And at the top where you see that little hangover of foam board, I'm going to trim that off later on. But right now I'm just taking the measurements. Just to give you a little bit of a background on this wall decor piece that I have, it was originally a coat rack. And so with it being a coat rack, it had hangers on it. What I had to do was take the hangers off. I had to unscrew them and put them away, possibly for another project. Then what I did was I used some wood filler. I filled in the holes, and once the wood filler was dry, I sanded the piece out to be spray painted at a later point. But here you can see me outlining so that when I do go ahead and finally put everything down, I will have a guide for where it needs to go. Now the next portion of this project, as I mentioned, is the Tumbling Tower Game blocks that I utilized. I had 4 sets. I did utilize this with some wood glue. I lined each of the pieces up together and I glued them with wood glue and E6000. I then allowed them to dry for about 24 hours so that I could properly utilize them to give stability to my piece once I am ready to finally stand it up. Now these pieces, along with the wall decor and the picture frames, as you can see, they will be spray painted. I've already done the picture frames and the accent piece. I just haven't done the pieces of wood, but here you see me lining everything up. It's just better to measure 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times and cut once than to only do it once and then realize you've made an error. So here again, I'm lining everything up and just looking over my piece. Please excuse the mess. This is right after Christmas, so we are busy taking everything down and packing things away. But I've also included my decorative paper too, so that I could get a look at how it's going to look. Now here I have my 2 clay pots from the Dollar Tree, which I mentioned earlier. And what I am going to do with these is make the topiaries. I also have here my 2 topiary balls. I have taken some styrofoam balls that I have hot glued into my topiary tops. The styrofoam balls did come from, I believe they came from the Dollar Tree. But I did hot glue them into the tops of the topiaries, so the topiary balls, so that they would have some stability. Here are my Kaboob Skewers that you currently see that I have wrapped in floral tape. What I did do was I divided the 6 into sets of 3, and I wood glued them together. Then once they were dry, I used the floral tape that I got from the Dollar Tree to cover the wood skewers. What you are seeing now is where I took the styrofoam balls, I picked one and cut it in half, and I glued it to the bottom of the clay pot. From there, I went ahead and punctured the ball with my skewer so that I wouldn't have trouble positioning it. I did set my glue gun to a low temperature setting because if it's on high, it tends to melt the styrofoam. I placed a little glue on the inside of the puncture mark that I made in the styrofoam, and then I took my stick and positioned it inside of my pot and the styrofoam. I did the same for the second pot, and on the top I made another puncture mark in the topiary ball on the top, and then I took it off and added more hot glue so that I could be sure that the topiary ball would stay in place. So that is what you are seeing here at this particular juncture of my project. And guys, please forgive me for the narrowness of my video. I am still learning to work this camera. When I think I have it right, I look at it and it does something else. And I would have went back to re-record it, but I was in the heat of things. I was really in the zone, so I did not have an opportunity to go back and fix it. But I want to make sure that you guys can see, or you have an understanding of what it is I'm doing. So at this particular point in the project, I have started working with my floral ribbon, my chevron pattern floral ribbon. I have measured around the clay pots, and I have cut the ribbon accordingly. Now what I'm going to do to provide some stability to these pots in the event that you know, kids are running by, they won't be so easily knocked over, is that I am filling these clay pots with river rocks. And that is, like I said, to provide some stability to the piece, to keep it from being so easily knocked over, as well as to provide more stability for my Kaboob skewers within the pot. So at this point, that is what you see me doing. And as I've said before, I did the same for the other pot as well. So now, coming up, what you're going to see is me just kind of decorating or just adding the more decorative aspects of the project. And you can, however you decide you want to decorate, whatever type of ribbon you decide you want to use, whatever type of picture frames you want to use, whatever color you want to spray paint it, it's completely and totally up to you. I'm just kind of giving a guide of how I did mine, but this is your creative flow. You do it how you want to do it. So what you guys are about to see me do next after this is I am going to be adding hot glue to my planter, and I'm going to be putting the reindeer moss. As you can see that now. Please forgive me for cutting off the picture. I have lost my tripod. I'm trying to work and film at the same time. But once that is done, I will be hot gluing the chevron ribbon around the planter, and I've also added a satiny white ribbon around the top just to give it a little bit more oomph. Now you noticed in the beginning in the picture that I added that there were flowers. I wasn't going to do the flowers, but when I looked at it, it just kind of looked a little plain Jane, so thus the decision to add the flowers. But please remember, this is just an idea. This is my project. You can do yours however you so choose to. I also use, and you'll see that coming up in the finish, that chevron ribbon. In addition to putting it on the planters, I also put it on the finished piece, and you'll get a chance to see that as well. Now, a few things with this piece that I want to remind you guys of. As I stated before, I did use the chevron ribbon on the trim, and I hot glued it on the edges, and then at the back of the foam board I used my staple gun to staple it. I glued it and stapled it as well, because I wanted to make sure that it adhered not only to the edges of the piece, but that it would be stapled to my little wooden blocks that I used to give the piece stability, as well as to the accent piece. I also staple gunned the picture frames to the back of the foam board to ensure that they stay in place. I used my Xacto knife to cut the back of the foam board out so that I could interchange the pictures as I please. I took some of the reindeer moss and the rocks to make it have a more natural effect, and I added those to the piece as well so that they would tie in with the topiaries. I really like how the chevron ribbon on the planters and on the backdrop of the picture frame and on the trim of the piece really tie the piece together to me. Now, as I said, this is your creative outlet. You can do it how you want to. So having said that, if you've enjoyed my video, please give me a thumbs up, like it, subscribe, comment, and share it. Inspire somebody else. Like I said, this is my design, but you can do yours however you want to. I want to tell you guys to be blessed, be the purest you that you can be, live 24 karat. Thanks for watching.